How does a small train station in the middle of nowhere grow to be one of the nicest train stations in Europe? All aboard the crazy train to Dreibergen and Zeist. Looking at all the train footage on YouTube, I somehow stumbled upon this guy claiming to have experienced one of the nicest train stations ever. And since I love anything that has to do with trains, I was naturally intrigued. So let's see what the fuss is all about. This guy is apparently a regular traveler living in Amsterdam. When he first got the new job, he realized that he would have to drive his car to this small city about 50 kilometers away every day. But to his surprise, he soon discovered there was a nifty intercity train that could whisk him away to his destination in no time at all. Having lived in various countries before, he had terrible experiences with public transport. However, that was all about to change. When he first set foot in Dreibergen and Zeist, he was hit by a wave of shock. Why? Because not only did he find a train station there, but it was the fanciest, schmanciest little station he'd ever laid his eyes upon. For those of you who are not familiar with the Netherlands, let me set the scene. First, we have the city of Zeist, its population of around 65,000 people. Then there's Dreibergen, a cozy little town with only about 19,000 inhabitants. And right smack dab in between them, you've got the Dreibergen and Zeist train station. Being located neither here nor there, the poor thing went through its fair share of identity crises through the decades. First, it was called Dreibergen, then Zeist-Dreibergen, back to Dreibergen, and finally, it settled on its current name, Dreibergen Zeist. The first station here was built in the mid-1800s, so there is a lot of history to this place. Sadly, most of it is boring. Back then, it was just a stop along the way, nothing at all special or remarkable about it. Then, in the 1950s, one entrepreneurial family decided to spice it up and make some money. And they had an incredible idea. Every time a train would stop at this station, the whole family would come out and serve coffee to the entire train before it chugged off on its merry way. The place quickly made a name for itself and became known as the coffee station. Researching this topic, I was surprised yet again. This being the Netherlands, I would imagine the people being really cultured and acting like proper human beings by discarding the coffee cups appropriately. To my surprise, it turns out they would just chug the cups out of the windows. And there was one unlucky person who had to clean up the tracks after them. But hey, it was another time, and who am I to judge? Fast forward to May 2020, and this station got a makeover to end all makeovers. The old layout? Not so great. It consisted of a terrible level crossing which caused chaos in the traffic. Just look at this old footage of the main road that leads into town. The craziest thing is that the crossing was active for just 20 minutes every hour. Imagine that happening in a big city today. There would be hell to pay. But that wasn't the end of it. According to the new plans, this crossing had to accommodate 11 trains per hour per direction. And that was just unimaginable. Luckily, the Dutch folks had a plan, and they managed to turn this station into the hottest thing since stroopwafels. And I gotta hand it to them. The way they did it was genius. They even managed to stay in business almost the entire time by creating a temporary station. Talk about multitasking. There was only a 16-day period of downtime. In that short span, they had 750 folks working 24/7 in several shifts. That way, they managed to squeeze 2.5 months of work into just 2 weeks. Epic planning, right? In case you were wondering, the issue of the crossing was solved by keeping the station at ground level and digging under it to accommodate everything else, including the main road leading into town. And even though it serves a population of only around 100,000 people, 6 trains stop here every hour per direction. In addition to that, the 4 tracks allow express trains to whiz on through at will. And not only is it now more efficient, but it's also safer for everyone involved. Also, I have to admit, it does look good. And speaking of looking good, this station goes above and beyond. It's surrounded by forests and a lovely park, and has a top-notch bike parking garage that holds 3,000 bikes. But look more closely at this picture. This is a bike garage that's located under a train station, yet it is so bright and spacious that it looks like a storefront. Talk about top-notch architecture. And the bike garage actually provides a much-needed service. You see, the area where the station is located is neither in Dreibergen nor in Zeist. It is in a forested area between the two. Instead of accommodating one small town, it grew into a transportation hub for the entire region. So these bikes are being put to good use, and you can also rent electric models. If you were wondering how those bikes get in and out of the station, the Dutch excelled once again. First of all, there's an elevator that takes you from the upper level to the bicycle garage. Once you get your bike, you can exit using the dedicated bicycle path. And even though the new station looks nice, clean, and modern, they've also given a nod to the past by refurbishing the old platform roof and blending it seamlessly with the new one. It just looks like they thought of everything. They even use curved walls to avoid that eerie feeling whenever you are in a tunnel or an underpass. It is all very open and bright, which adds to the feeling of safety. There's also a small waiting room, as well as the inevitable cafe. Oh, and don't worry about fare gates. There are none. There are only a few ticket machines and card tapping spots here that allow you to pay on your way to the train. And in case you don't like bikes, no worries. Just step outside and you'll be greeted by a bustling bus station on the north side. And in case you want a car, there is a car dealership and a gas station right across it. So whichever way you ride, they've got you covered. The station has also been adapted to people arriving by car. They just exit the main road into a drop-off area. Not surprisingly, safety comes first, so the drop-off area is completely separate from the bicycle path. Now, here's the rub. The area around the station is still a bit underdeveloped. With 88 trains a day, you'd expect more action. It's not quite the urbanist paradise you'd imagine, but it's still better than highways and parking lots. In the end, Dreibergen and Zeist is a shining example of modern infrastructure done right. It's a testament to teamwork, thoughtful planning, and a reminder that when it comes to transit hubs, the Dutch don't mess around. Let me know if you think this is the best little train station you've ever seen. If not, tell me which one is better, and I might just go and visit it. Until then, all aboard the Dreibergen and Zeist Express.